on. Hello everybody, welcome to Tech Talks. I'm Victor here with Julie, and this week we have a couple, actually it's more of a gaming week this week than it is anything else. There is one thing about Google that I will throw out there. Google are starting to make it so that all the Google phones, which I believe means the Pixel lineup, are going to be getting the features of the robocalling filtering. And this was a feature that's on the Pixel 3 and Pixel 4. I guess it's coming down to Pixel 1 and Pixel 2. Super useful feature though, the screen call, and allowing you to just kind of see ahead of time whether it's a robocall or not, and not even pick it up. Outside of that though, the other thing that we were going to talk about is VR and the Xbox, because they had new announcements on the Xbox. First we'll talk with the HTC. HTC is coming out with 3 new VR headsets. They're at varying different levels of the market, essentially, because there's essentially 3 markets for the headsets right now. There is the low-end cheap headset pricing. There is the no computer kind of headsets, ones that you could take with you anywhere. You don't need a computer to be plugged in.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's the Oculus Quest, and now HTC has come out with their own variant of that. Huh. And then you have the high-end, high-grade market with the highest graphics, refresh rates, things like that. For those that are looking for the bleeding edge of the technology.
Okay.
So HTC has released one of each, or is releasing one of each this year. They are coming out with the Cosmos Elite. So Cosmos being their high-end brand. Now the Elite is their more high-end brand from the Cosmos. That's going to have the light stations, like the traditional VR with the light stations that are tracking.
You mean the sensors on the walls?
Yeah, the sensors on the walls. They're called light stations.
Okay.
And it's being tracked from the outside in, so the light stations are external that are tracking your position.
Okay.
It's going to be compatible with the previous HTC light stations, because these are going to be along with the old Elite base stations that were the base stations 2.0. If you have the original HTC Vive, those are the 1.0 base stations. This is going to be backwards compatible with all of those. Same thing with the controllers and everything like that. So you can upgrade in parts if you want. So if you want to just upgrade the headset and then upgrade the other stuff later on, or however you want to do it, there's adaptability there. They're gonna have new faceplates that are gonna be interchangeable. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to be doing with those faceplates. It sounds like there's something to do with tracking on them, but it wasn't very clear. They're gonna have these Vive. It's also gonna be compatible with the Steam headsets as well, or the Steam ecosystem that they have for their headsets, right? Steam has its own headset brand now.
Okay.
It's expected to retail at $899, so about average for the bleeding edge technology of HTC. So about 3 years ago, the Vive was about $800, $899 maybe. Then as time got on, the bleeding edge, the Elite, was when that came out, was about $800.
You mean the
$900.
Cosmos?
Yeah, the Cosmos.
And now,
And now this is this. So it's staying in the general range of the high end. I think the Steam VR one is still higher. I think that's over $1,000, but it's not that that it's in that range, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be an external tracking faceplate that will launch as a $200 upgrade. So it sounds like there's going to be includes a pre-installed external faceplate. The external tracking faceplate will launch as a standalone for either the Cosmos or the Cosmos Play. I'm not sure what the external tracking faceplate is, though. It seems like that might be the faceplate. Okay, so we'll let me get back to the let's go through the headsets, and then I will get back to the external tracking faceplate and the way I am understanding it. So next is the Vive Cosmos XR. And the Vive Cosmos XR is the standalone VR headset. It's going to be competing against the Oculus Quest. And essentially, these are headsets that don't require a computer to use. They will have an internal computer and internal programming so that you can play the VR games without a high-end computer.
So, okay, a couple questions. Is it the same VR games that are available for the other ones?
Yes, it is the same VR games like a computer would have.
Okay.
There is a caveat, though.
Okay.
The caveat is you're generally locked in to the ecosystem that you're in with those, right? Because since it's not a computer, there's less finicking with them. So if you are on the Oculus, it's going to have the Oculus Store. If you are on the Vive, it's going to have the Vive Store.
Okay.
There have been people that have been able to get them to mod them so that you could, or at least with the Quest, because this one's not out yet. But with the Quest, they've been able to mod them to be able to use the either store, and they've also now the Quest has updated it so that you can use a USB-C cable to plug into your computer, so that you can actually get direct live feed from your computer through USB-C, which is pretty cool. So that headset does turn into a regular Vive head or regular computer-based set at the same time, which you could use all the computer capabilities. Now, the Cosmos XR has not said anything so far that I know of about whether it's going to be compatible with plugging into a computer too, and then you just have the best of both worlds. Even then, it wasn't really the best of both worlds. There was a lot of lag on the Quest when it comes to plugging it into the PC versus USB-C. I think there's a lot of programming in there that has to be done before that actually becomes as good as just a direct plug into a PC version. Did you have a second question to that?
I forgot it.
Oh, sorry. But there is a caveat to doing this without the PC, and it's good to recognize that that might be the case. Now, this one is going to have the internal sensors to the Vive, which meaning that it's going to track your position of your hands or your controllers from the headset, not from external base stations.
Oh.
And this is going to be coming up with at well, Well, it's going to be coming up at the GDC conference, which is later this month or next month. And
since it's standalone and it doesn't need a computer, is it more expensive than what you said is the top of the line?
that's the thing. They have not announced the pricing yet.
Okay.
With the Quest, the Quest was not more expensive than top of the line because the hardware in there was not as good as high-end stuff. It was designed for portability, so you had media-ish hardware, enough to get the Vive and things going, not enough for it to be considered high-end.
Okay.
But it's definitely better than putting a phone into a splitting glass and doing it with a cardboard style. Then you have the Vive Cosmos Play, and this is also a internal tracking setup that will be able to track your handset from the inside out. And and then this is also this is a computer-based one. So this is going to be competing along the ends of the Oculus Rift S, which is a very simplified headset that doesn't require all the base tracking, doesn't require this. It has 2 plugins that plug straight into the computer, and you're set to go. Still has decent specs when it comes to the display and everything like that. So it feels good. If you get the power of a computer on with that too. So this is going to be facing off against that. And with the Vive Cosmos Play though, it is going to be compatible with other Vive accessories. There is a lot of accessories in the Vive ecosystem as well as the Oculus system, but I think the Vive really is the one that's been pretty open source about their technology so that people can plug in and come up with all sorts of accessories. They have like attachments for like if you have a printed gun or something like that to help you stabilize your movement. They have like little accessories that like attach on so that it could keep track of where that movement is on that thing. They have all sorts of open accessories. That's where the wireless accessory comes into, so that you can be wireless with your headset.
That would be nice. And
they do have this is supposed to be able to be compatible with the rest of the HTC Vive ecosystem. It's just going to be kind of a cheaper headset to get into. And then they haven't announced also a pricing on this one either. And this is back to the faceplate thing. I believe that the $200 upgrade for the faceplate, what they said is going to be coming with the Cosmos Elite, is actually going to make it so that the Cosmos Play will be working with the base stations then. So if you want to start off with the Cosmos Play, and then you decide that you want to get the base stations and things like that, you can then get a $200 accessory upgrade to get the faceplate to put into your Cosmos Play so that it works with the base stations, the external tracking. And
you'd have to get the base stations.
Yeah, you would have to get the base stations, which are, I think, 100 to 200 each. But you would also be able to use other accessories with that. So you could essentially build up your ecosystem incrementally instead of spending $800, $900 down. You could do it the other way. The caveat to doing it that way is the last thing you would want to upgrade is the headset itself, but that will be the one thing that is going to be, if you're doing it from the ground up, starting with nothing, that's going to be your bottleneck at that point, because I assume they haven't really had the specs out, but I assume the specs for the Elite headset are going to have higher refresh rate, higher frame rate than
for the
Play one.
Yeah, and I mean, it's nice that you can do it that incremental way, but I mean, by the time you do like a 200 faceplate upgrade and then another 100 or 200 for the base stations, and I mean, that's pretty close to what you'd pay for the middle range, isn't it? But I guess you would be going all the way to the higher range.
Yeah,
ultimately.
the middle range of the Quest and the XR is kind of in a weird space because they don't that ecosystem that they're in is it feels very separate as like a separate bubble because they're not using the computer at all. They're using their own thing, and so it might end up being more expensive than the Cosmos Play at first, but it will just end up deteriorating over time, and it doesn't scale, right? Like the Play will scale over time. You can upgrade your computer. So even if the headset like doesn't, you can get your computer to be faster, and you can get all these other things to be better and faster.
It is nice though to have that option. I mean, for us, clearly, I think at home with our computers is how we would go.
Yeah.
But that Quest or that, what was it, XR VR?
Yeah.
What is it?
The
XR.
Cosmos XR and the Quest.
I think that is nice for people that do like to have like social parties or take it to places, or you know, a grandparent that wants to pack it up and take it to different grandkids or nieces and nephews or whatever.
Yeah, there's been a lot of different reasons to have a standalone one. Casual consumers that don't have high-end PCs but really like the VR,
and for experiences for like businesses, they can take it and easily show and demo their stuff.
Yeah.
If they have like, I mean, if they have a demo, if they have
demos
in VR.
Real estate actually has been doing VR demos quite often, because that way you don't have to travel all the way to all the different locations. You can see like 10 locations without leaving the real estate office, right? Mm-hmm. There's been practical applications for a lot of this. And also, when it comes to convenience and things like that, there's also been people that have been using things like the phone in the cardboard or fancier versions of that, essentially, that have been using it for planes, right? Because they can't handle flying, and so they're able to go into their own world in the VR and just watch Netflix in like a little theater, and the plane ride doesn't bother them. And so having like a portable headset like that, there's a lot of good things that come with it, but and most of the time it is a separate thing than your ones that you're going to have in your house with your computer-based systems.
Okay.
So yeah. It's I think it's pretty cool lineup that they're coming out with over the year, and I'm glad that because last year Oculus seemed to be the one that was really showing off what they had. I think Steam came out with their headset last year too. But Steam can be finicky too, right? 1 or 2 headsets might come out of Steam, but very rarely does anything with the number 3 come out of Steam. So we'll see how long their lineup lasts. And the HTC though, this is now their 3rd iteration, and it sounds like they're very much still in the fight for VR, and they want to keep going with that. So that's a lot of good promises when it comes to VR. And just over time, very much like we talked about flip phones, the very first VR iteration, the HTC Vive, and the Oculus demo or dev kits, those were several $100s. I think the dev kit was still like $500, and then the Vive, the first consumer grade that came out, was $800, $900. Now you're getting your base starting price at the Oculus Rift S at $300. So these things are coming down in price. They're becoming more achievable, along with graphics cards. The 1080, I think even the 970 is what the minimum required graphics card is for VR. But the 1080 is what I would generally recommend. and those are down in price because the 2080s are out and the 2080 Ti's are out, and they're going to be announcing another one. So the 1080s are actually very good graphics cards that will get pretty much anything you need done in the gaming world right now, outside of ray tracing. And those are relatively cheap. A new computer build, basically, if you build a new computer right now, it'll be it'll be VR compatible if you're spending, let's say, $1,000 on it. And with the pricing of it, just adding $300 to get a VR, that's almost equivalent. Like, it's a good deal. That's what I'm saying. I think that because what I just thought of, the only cheaper deal that you're gonna get VR wise is the PlayStation system. You can get a PlayStation 4 Pro, I think, for like $400 or $500, and the VR extension for another $200. And so that way you can get.
It's not exactly cheaper, I guess, if you've already got the PlayStation and are just.
Well, I mean, that's $800 for a console and VR.
Console and, yeah.
Because if you wanted to if you got the VR headset, you still need a computer, and so you would still need $1,000 computer to play it. Unless
you do the XR or the old one, the Quest.
The Quest, yeah. Unless you do the XR Quest, that is about equivalent to the PlayStation VR.
The computer or the whatever it is you're going to run it with, yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't have a computer and you're really wanting VR and you don't want to go the Quest or VR, then potentially PlayStation 4 would be cheaper. Was there more on?
That is it on the Vives, the HTC lineup, which is I thought pretty cool. Yeah. Now, to go to the company that isn't really particularly interested in VR, Xbox has announced, on top of not being very interested in VR at the moment, some specs for the new Xbox. So right now we're getting a lot of details on the new Xbox and not a lot of details on the PlayStation. And I think this is hurting Sony in the long run by holding out this long as to what the PlayStation details are, because so far the Xbox details are winning a lot of people over. We've already talked about the cross compatibility, the buy anywhere. The saving, that's kind of a thing happening just across the board, cross saves.
What do you mean by buy anywhere?
The buy anywhere is for many of the Xbox games, you can buy one game and it'll work both on the PC and Xbox.
Oh, okay.
They have the Xbox Game Pass, where you pay a monthly fee, and it's like Netflix, where you just have access to the entire category of like 500 plus titles.
An entire
catalog of games that you can play at your will. And many of the games on there, or many of the games that come out like today, are instantly put onto that service. So if you're paying $12 a month, or whatever I think it is around $10-12 a month for the Xbox Game Pass, that's $12 for the new Call of Duty when it comes out, instead of the $60 that you normally would pay.
But then get to keep it. It's just a different.
It's a different way of going about it, but you have access to everything. So there's a lot of things coming out about Xbox that, and now they're talking specs for the new Xbox Series X. And the specs sheet that the recent spec that they talked about is kind of misleading in a way. Essentially, they're trying to say that the CPU is going to be twice as powerful as the Xbox One X, which is going to be 8 times, which is also that twice as powerful as that, or 8 times more powerful than the original Xbox One when it came out. That's what they're announcing with the new CPU announcement. It does 12 teraflops. nobody. That's just a number that is crunched as to how fast it calculates things, and all you need to know is the Xbox One X was a 6 teraflop CPU, and so it's going to be twice as fast as the Series X was when it comes to CPU. That doesn't account for GPU or the memory or any of the other features like hard drive speed or anything else like that.
So wait, the Series X is the old one or the new one?
The Series X is the new one that's going to be coming out this winter.
This coming, you mean 21, 22?
No, this winter.
Like,
that's 2020.
Ending in less than a month?
No, 2020 winter.
Okay, so you mean 2021?
No, that's next year. This is coming out this holiday.
What holiday? Easter holiday?
No, holiday season is usually considered Christmas season.
December of 2020?
Well, it could be before that. It could be September, October, in that general.
That's not winter.
August. It's Q4. They announced it. Holiday next year is when they.
So you do mean,
holidays
though,
2020.
You mean November, December 2020?
We don't know exactly when it's coming out.
But
we just know their
That's
approximate situation is when they announced the Xbox Series X, they announced it's coming out holidays 2020, which is in the November, December. It could also be as early as August though. Because they might want to get it out before Black Friday.
Yes, I'm sure they do want to get it out before Black Friday, but they said holiday anyways.
Yes, that's usually what holidays means.
It's just such a weird way to put it. And when we're in February,
that's how marketing. No, this was last December when they announced that the Series X.
In December, they said it'll be coming out this
holidays
holiday.
2020.
Oh, they said. Okay, so they meant just in about a year.
Yes.
Let's move on.
So they're saying that the graphics processor. Yeah, the graphics processor is 12 teraflops, which is what is
a teraflop? Again,
it's just a calculation of how many operations it can do per second. It's an arbitrary number, essentially.
All right.
But all you need to know is comparatively, the last Xbox, the Xbox One X, was 6 teraflops.
Okay.
The PlayStation 4 Pro was 4.2 teraflops. So this is going to be really fast graphics processor. They're trying to hit 120 frames per second for video games. They are trying to get ray tracing capabilities.
Ooh.
And
so wait, they are trying but do not yet have?
Well, this is what they're advertising.
Oh, so they are going to do.
They're advertising. We will see how well it comes out, though.
Okay, because we don't actually. Okay.
Because ray tracing, from what we've seen from the NVIDIA, is fantastic. They're using AMD processors. AMD has no ray tracing GPUs out, so we have no idea what AMD's ray tracing is going to look like. If it's going to be fake ray tracing, if it's going to be like NVIDIA's GeForce ray tracing. So this is just what they're saying is it's going to have ray tracing.
All right.
120 frames per second. Smart delivery is what they're also advertising, which is if you have a game on the Xbox 360 or an Xbox One or Xbox Series X, it will pick whichever one is the tuned to the system that you are trying to use. So if you have an Xbox 360 game, it will tune the system so that you will be able to play that Xbox 360 game at the best or without hardware really messing it up, because sometimes when you play a game on the wrong hardware, it can really screw things up, even though they're technically compatible.
So they've tried to optimize the backwards compatibility.
Yes.
Optimize? Did I finish that word?
Optimize, yeah. Optimize backwards compatibility. And it is supposed to be backwards compatible with the Xbox One and
360.
through
Right?
through, what do you call it? through law of deduction or whatever it is, with the Series X is backwards compatible with, or the Xbox One X is backwards compatible with most 360 games. So if this is backwards compatible with the One X, then through that logic, it should be
the 360
compatible. I don't think they've actually confirmed that. They might have said that somewhere. I might have missed that, but as far as I know, they might not. That's not necessarily a confirmed feature, but a highly suggested one. The other part is quick resume games. So apparently there's also creating a system where if you stop playing for a game and play another one and then want to go back to the first game that you were playing, that it'll be able to load up without even a loading screen. It's just going to be as if you're multitasking, and it'll just be able to switch back to it without having to reload or restart the game.
Interesting. And
the last bit of news, this is dealing with that backwards compatibility, the smart delivery. This smart delivery system is actually more in depth than what we just said. Apparently, they're going to give access to developers to use this system however they wish. And one of the ways that it's being used is that the Cyberpunk 2077 developer CD Projekt Red has announced that if you buy the game for the Xbox One, their new Cyberpunk, and then you decide to upgrade your system from an Xbox One to an Xbox Series X, they will automatically upgrade the game for you. You will not have to buy it again.
Nice.
And so this is just another version of the buy anywhere kind of system, but this is going from upgrade to upgrade, or from upgrading this game instead of the side grade from PC to Xbox. I realize that's not necessarily equivalent, but different systems at work, saving you money though. Very great for overall consumers. And again, nothing's being heard from PlayStation. When people are hearing this, they're thinking, Xbox sounds great right now. They might not even listen to whatever PlayStation has, because, you know, if everything that you want is on Xbox already.
Do they know do we know whether PlayStation is releasing a console in the next year?
Yes, they have announced the PlayStation 5 as well for holiday 2020.
Oh yeah, then they should be telling us about it.
Yes.
Yeah, that does seem silly.
No idea what the PlayStation is outside of the one demo that they put out about the new SSD hard drive that is going to make Spider-Man, the game that everybody's still playing, load in a half second versus 8 seconds. Like,
all right.
That's all that we know about the PlayStation so far. And we're hoping to hear more, and we're hoping to see if they will even come close to providing the services that Xbox is planning on doing.
All right.
That's it for this week. Did you have any questions or comments or concerns?
Nope.
That's it for this week, guys. We will see you next week. Have a great one.
Take care.